Oh my God, I'm alive. I'm here. Crazy. Just really fast, just because you haven't seen me on the channel for like a week and a half. I was like disastrously ill. I got COVID last week, and then I finally healed from all that, and then I got some stupid little kid snot nose like daycare stuff that just blew through my like compromised immune system. Like I'm still clearly sick and stuff, but this is the first time I've been somewhat able to talk and not just coughing nonstop. So I apologize for that. I know people were pretty disappointed there wasn't a NASCAR video or anything for Phoenix, but I was literally just incapacitated in bed. So I apologize for that. As we look at today's video, also I got the long guy here. I already paid him, but I feel it. I feel it. This guy is gonna just ring the doorbell, and the dog's gonna go crazy, and then I gotta go deal with it. So like, just a heads up there. This is the only time I'm free to do anything right now. Anyway, and I'm not gonna put anything on the screen. I'm just gonna be talking here. Let me just bring up the stream just so I can see any questions or anything that might pop up and stuff. Hope everybody's well. Like I said, sorry it's been so long since I've been here. But yeah, so that's it. When we're looking at today's game now, if you're in the Discord and stuff, obviously, I was sick and I didn't play Monday's night anywhere near as heavy as I normally do, and I end up just having Jacoby and tight end from Arizona. I just went blank, and I pulled Harrison from the captain position like last minute just because Data was saying like Jacoby's probably going to outscore him, and I was like reverse tilting the whole time because obviously I never ever play quarterbacks, and Jacoby was being outscored by Harrison until the very end. But when I look at this slate today, I see a slate that I very much like the way that we can go about this and stuff. Now, obviously, I don't know exactly how many last thing I know, it's looking like I'm probably going to finish third in this tennis contest. But the fact that Jacoby got traded is pretty huge. Now, Denver is a pretty big favorite, if I'm not mistaken here. Let me go ahead and make sure here. But typically, I like playing teams and captains coming from behind, teams that are looking to lose. And also, I apologize for the noise, and everything if it's going through from the long guys and stuff. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't bark. Don't bark. Don't bark. I'm gonna have to pick up this chair and throw it at this little guy. Dude, I hate my life so much right now. I'm still waiting for this to load, and so I can get the actual stats here and stuff. Oh my lord. Okay. And yeah, so it looks like Denver's a pretty big favorite. I think it's 9 points, if I wasn't mistaken earlier from what I was listening to. But so it's at least Saberson has Vegas at 16.8, Denver's 27. Typically, I like playing teams that are going to be passing, right? I want passing captains. We get a pretty now. Yet again, what has really changed is the potential of Denver's wide receivers being underpriced. But what I really like about this slate is that we get Las Vegas as a pretty big freebie with obviously Bowers. Obviously, he went off last week, and that's kind of irrelevant. I'm just saying that he's obviously let him run target. We look at Tristan Tucker, who has had really decent weekends before this year, and just by happenstance, I've ended up playing a lot of Tucker on the main slates whenever I was playing. And then we get Tyler Lockett at a huge discount at $3,000. I really, really like the fact that now that we've lost, a $6,800 receiver from Vegas, potentially it opens up the targets for Lockett, and I just straight up I think that helps Tucker and Bowers here. Now, I do want to mention, now this is just some insight about me. I do have, I only do like 2 real life season long leagues and stuff. And this is just because I know people always ask me, how do I feel about playing this guy? How do I feel about whatever the fuck or whatever? And I actually have RJ Harvey on one of my season long teams, and this guy always projects for like 4 points a week, right? And he's been working fine for me. Whatever. Now, season long, weekly, there's no correlation there. I'm just saying that I have no. And yet again, I'm probably gonna do like 100 lines or whatever. Whatever I end up with RJ Harvey, I'm perfectly fine with. And in fact, with the amount of upside that he has, I actually prefer him over J.K. Dobbins. I think they're both very much live, but you get a pretty substantial discount on Harvey. Okay, so you get, the Las Vegas side with guys you're really going to see a slightly increased target share. What we would see as underpriced Denver receivers and stuff. I really think like if I'm focusing on Harvey from Denver side, however you pronounce the main wide receiver for the Raiders, like why do I care about how I pronounce these guys' names? Ashton, whatever, right? Whatever I get in the flex there is what I end up getting with. But I just really, really like Vegas tonight from a fantasy perspective, especially Trey Tucker, especially Brock Bowers. I don't see a reason why I would need to play lock in the captain, but I really, really, really like Tucker today. Bowers and Tucker are probably going to be the main guys I focus on. And the fact that they're pretty, and this is with, someone we're using Geno Smith. I mean, it doesn't matter how bad he's been. This is daily fantasy. We just care about what he does tonight. If Vegas is behind and need him to throw, okay, Raiders might only score 11 points, man. They might just flat out lay an egg, right? But I typically like playing underdogs and stuff. Same thing with Arizona on Monday or whatever. Just in the event that they are showing up and performing and stuff. And if you run Tucker and Smith or Bowers and Smith, you're still at like $7,600 per player. As stated, I'm perfectly fine with playing. Sorry, I just whacked the heck out of the screen. I'm perfectly fine with however you end up getting or however much you end up getting of Harvey. Just for example, if I'm kind of just talking through situations that you probably find or whatever. You run Tucker, Geno Smith, Harvey. That's $8,300 per person. Okay, you got a high likelihood of wrapping up, and this isn't including anybody else you can have. You can throw in kickers or whatever, right? But for me, this slate, especially with the fact that a lot of people seem to be playing Bo Nix and the Gently guy from Vegas or whatever, and even possibly Sutton, the fact that we have what I would argue is really bad shock at the captain with Bo Nix. Now, yes, sure, he scored 40, 28, whatever the fuck, right? But from like an actual contest approach and stuff, I really, really, really like Vegas. And the fact that you get a pretty decent discount on Vegas's wide receivers, even if you're going Bowers in the captain, I mean, and yet again, I'm looking primarily between Tucker and Bowers and stuff, but you're getting off of, let's see what Saberson has for this ownership at the captain position, because I got a feeling it's going to be pretty substantial. I mean, Nix is looking to be right at 19%, probably closer to pushing to 21 by the end of the day. Obviously, Bowers, going to be close to 13, but there's just a huge drop off. And like I said, I mean, I really, really, really like Tucker today. And I mean, he's expected to like literally not be owned at all in the captain position. Back in my single entry days, I probably would just slam the piss out of Tucker today, and I'm probably going to do that tonight. And if he scores me 7 points, whatever, right? But they're going to be behind. Geno's going to have to throw. He's going to have to show up. And maybe yet again, since we don't have Jacoby, and yet again, I just got lucky this year. I just, for whatever reason, I did not play Jacoby in the main slate, and so maybe I'm biased to Tucker, because every time I'd have one-offs or I'd play Vegas or whatever, I'd always have Tucker versus Jacoby, and he just ended up performing better week in and week out and stuff. And that's with Jacoby on the field. Yet again, you get to lock it at 3,000 as a value. I mean, I think you can make some very, very killer lines with Tucker in the captain position, and will he be the highest? I'm usually a bit more concerned if I don't have the highest player, but with where salary is at, If Tucker could score me without the 1.5x, if he could score me 10, 11 points, I'm pretty satisfied with that for the line of construction that you most likely are going to have. Bo Nix, you're most likely going to have, running back from Denver, if not, one of Sutton or Franklin and stuff, on top of your Las Vegas guys, on top of the kickers or whatever. Also, let's talk about these kickers really fast. I mean, I keep getting, now, yet again, now they're at the point where they're like, everybody's, they're 4,800 or whatever. Just take the cheaper kicker week in and week out at this point, especially if, yet again, I hate to use, a slate that just happened and stuff, but why would, now, yet again, Cardinals won, whatever, but still, with the upside that these kickers have and the likelihood that they're going to be making 40-yard kicks, there's no reason, unless you're doing both kickers in line, which you can, but there is no reason to have the higher owned kicker on slates. You should always take the lower owned kicker, which is usually the cheaper kicker, okay? Just because if somebody's behind, especially if they're expected to be behind, and especially if they run into a lot of situations where it's like 4th and 8 or whatever, they're going to take the points. They are not going to be going for it at 4th down. As stated, we've been wanting to play a lot of kickers in general. But I would say for the remainder of the season, whenever you're in SaberSim or whatever building with kickers and stuff, if you find yourself having high ownership on the highest owned kicker, I would just flip flop that and go to the cheaper one. Just take a discount on ownership. These guys, I mean, their realistic outcomes across the league, they're pretty much the same. Most kickers are scoring anywhere between 7 to 11 points a game. Like why pay up and why take on higher ownership? That's those are kind of my thoughts here. Any questions or anything? I don't see any. But yeah, I love slates to where there's a big underdog and where they are literally just having to pass from the straight beginning. And Geno Smith has been absolutely atrocious this year. I would much rather try and chase a day where he scored. I mean, you look at Geno's, and yet again, I'm just logging or stat logging or whatever. We're looking at the game log rather. But Geno Smith is either going to score me 8 points or he's going to be deep in the 20s if they're keeping this game in some form or fashion competitive or trying to keep up with. I would much rather take that upside. And I'd much rather try and chase a game where Vegas is trying to be competitive versus being with the field on Denver, just because I just don't see a reason why we need to be that high on Denver today. If anything, it should be like pretty even. But why is Sutton and Franklin 32 and 35% and Trey Tucker's 25? Like that makes like no sense to me at all. This is one of those days where I like Trey Tucker, I like Brock Bowers. Those people are going to focus on, and I'll take the $1,600 discount on Geno Smith versus Bo Nix. Those are kind of my thoughts. Bobby will be talking live later. I just couldn't join him tonight, so I figured I'd do my own show since I'm no longer at least coughing and I can talk and form a sentence correctly. But other than that, any final thoughts or opinions will be in the Discord. I'll share my exposures and everything later. But I like targeting underdogs here, or especially huge underdogs here where they just have to pass, dude. And yeah, lastly, let me see what these guys are projected for. What the defense is projected for here. So Denver's defense is looking to be 40% owned at 11 projection, and we have the Raiders projected for 4 points and 6% owned. So if another way to get at this point we're deep in the NFL season. A lot of people who are bad spend all their bankroll. They're not playing anymore. Contests are getting a little bit smaller. Obviously, we have the 20 today, but we don't have as many GPPs as we used to. Yet again, if everybody is going to be playing. I mean, just forget Bo Nix and the Cavs. If everybody's going to be playing the Broncos defense at 40%, like that's a 40% clip over here. Like that's crazy. the other thing I'm probably gonna do is I'm probably just gonna fade the Broncos defense entirely. I already don't play the defense a lot anyway, but you're telling me 40% of the field's gonna have the Broncos defense, and that's literally one move I could just make to be very, very different from the rest of the field. I'm gonna take that every day of the week. Yeah, that's mainly my thoughts. Just wanted to come on really fast, talk 20 minutes or whatever about what I want to do for this game, and yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys later. Thanks for being here. Bye bye.